And Gamaliel King, who designed this extraordinary building, was literally a grocer in the neighborhood. In the early days of the Republic, we believed that citizen involvement in government was essential. That's why we were a republic. This is one of the most productive places on the planet, and yet there's no involvement of the general public of Brooklyn in its largest development project.
Why is it that this project, the Atlantic Yards project, the largest project in the borough of Brooklyn, why is there no community input? None whatsoever. As was mentioned before, there are a number of models all throughout the city and the state of New York where there is community involvement, with respect to decision making. Why not in Brooklyn?
And we really believe that regardless of people's differences with regard to Atlantic Yards and what they think is the best part of it, what they think is the worst part of it, that the communities working together and having meaningful input into the process by which this is coordinated and governed is a very key part to making this, which is the biggest project ever been built in Brooklyn, work.
What's lacking here is a mechanism for the coordination of the agencies at the city and the state level and ensuring concerns of the local community to be addressed during the development process. There's no mechanism for community input to be taken as the project evolves over its life cycle. The BrooklynSpeaks sponsors are proposing the creation of two entities for project oversight and for community input. We would see the creation of a dedicated oversight entity which would be managed by a board composed of representatives from not only the state and the ESDC, but also from local elected officials, another entity, a stakeholder council, which would provide for very broad and representative participation and input on the part of the local community. But the key element here is accountability based on the representation of the people of Brooklyn in decision making. One of the questions you may have is this something radical? And the answer to that question is no. In fact, what's unusual is that Atlantic Yards does not have this structure.
I've been very active in Riverside South, creating the new park on the west side of Manhattan. We're in our 17th year, and we're halfway home. We've been through 4 governors and 3 mayors, and now we're on our 3rd developer. And the only thing that is the only glue in that project has been the continuing involvement of local citizens through a structure.
The Atlantic Yards project is currently forecast to not be completed until the year 2015, 8 years away from now. The community, which comprises 250,000 people, these communities have a right to a seat at the table with the state and city agencies responsible for implementation. So that's why I'm supporting this proposal.
The second question you may ask is it too late for any of this? Haven't all the decisions been made? Isn't the project already approved? And the answer to that question is also no. This project will likely be redesigned several times over its life cycle. It is not too late to have a representative governance structure put in place.
This is the one thing that I think at this point in time is critical and makes sense for the community's to be part of the decision making.